Hi guys, Ryan Moody here, helping you to fish smarter, not harder. One of the reasons I caught so many great trophy fish, especially in my early charter fishing career, is my use of live bait. Catching so many big fish on liveys also helped me work out our tropical species much more, which I could then translate to lure fishing techniques later in my career after I got the where and when theories worked out. Years catching liveys also helped me develop strategies to catch all the live bait that I needed at various tides and times. Back in the day, custom cast nets were the go-to nets to use for liveys, as their strength, their panel numbers and quality is what made the difference in having a net with a good spread, strong mesh and good longevity. However, in these modern times, custom cast net makers are few and far between, and the cost of a custom cast net is now out of the reach for many anglers. But by all means, if you can find them and are not worried about the expense, then they are a great way to go. Most cast nets available in the tackle industry now are all made overseas, and most are nowhere near the quality of a custom net, and many are absolute rubbish. When choosing a cast net, there are a number of factors to take into account, and I'd like to share my experience. Not so much which cast net you should use at different times, bottom pocket, drawstring or top pocket, as I've covered that in another video. Today, it's more about what to look for when you're buying a cast net and what makes a good one. Firstly, nets are made from either monofilament, like fishing line, or nylon cord, which is a little bit like string. Today, I'm not going to get into the nylon nets, as these days, most people are using monofilament. Why? Monofilament is simply much better. Nylon are more visible to the fish, plus they hold water in the cord fibres, and even after a good shake, they become very heavy and harder to throw, especially into the wind. This is because they are fibrous, which also makes them slow sinking and more prone to catching on snags and rock. So on the topic of monofilament, there are two types. There is single strand and there is multi-strand. Multi-strand are mostly made by custom net makers. It is very strong and hard to tear on snags, but it does tend to hold water due to the multiple strands. They won't sink as flat and will also cling to snags as well. This is why I only use and recommend single strand mono nets, as they tick all the boxes for efficient bait gathering. However, all single strand cast nets are not made the same. There are a few factors that make the difference between a good net and a bad one. Line quality, mesh structure, how many panels, the lead line. So let's go through them now. First up, the quality of the mesh is very important, and you can tell by this by its thickness. Obviously, the thicker the mesh, the stronger it's going to be. And obviously, a line class of mono that's much stronger is going to be less likely to tear. Let's face it, no matter how good any of us are, you're always going to throw it over a snag from time to time. Or catch bigger fish in it, which can also rip your net in no time at all. Secondly, the mesh structure. The diamonds are made on a certain angle, and you want a net that has it running the same way. You can see how these diamonds, even though you compress them like so, they will always be wanting to face one way. So some of the really cheap nets are made with this on its side, and they become very springy and they're very bushy and hard to grab. And also when you cast them, they quite often, when they reach their full circle, they'll spring back in again if you throw them a little bit too far. So always look for a net that hangs very well and the diamonds are running the same length as the net does. Stronger nets also have double knots. Some people refer to it as double diamond, but it's actually the knots that are stitched when the mesh is made are doubled. So it gives you that little bit better strength, especially when you're stuck on those snags. And another thing to take into account is how many panels the net is made with. Obviously, a 6-panel net is going to spread really well for its size. If you're using a 3 or 4 panel, they still spread quite well, but just not as good as if they're made in more panels, like a 6-panel net. And what I mean by that is you can look around the net and you can see all the different areas where it's stitched. I can see one there, another one there, another one there, another one there, and another one over here. And they run down the length of the net where all the panels are tied together. So this one is a 6-panel, and they're the best ones because you'll get a much better spread, a lot easier. Now when it comes to the lead lines, you have two choices. The first is the traditional way of lead sinkers spread around the cord line around the bottom of the circumference. And secondly is the chain lead line, which provides an even overall weight, which is traditionally known to provide a better spread when casting. And also, the chain lead lines, when used in drawstring cast nets, does not want to tangle inside the drawstrings as much as what sinkers do. They are also slightly heavier than standard lead line nets, which makes them sink quicker, which is ideal when using a drawstring in deeper waters. But chain lead line is not ideal for bottom pocket nets, as they are designed for dredging the bottom in shallow water and can pick up heaps of rubbish in the muddy estuaries. For bottom pocket, I prefer a well-weighted lead line net. And finally, make sure the net has a ski rope type lanyard, as this is much harder to tangle when it's travelling through the air as you cast. Thinner rope or blind cord tangles really badly. Now, cast nets come in different sizes for a reason, and bigger is not always better. To get into snaggy creek mouths, a smaller 8-foot net is ideal, and a smaller net is also lighter and easy to throw. A large net, say a 10 to 12 footer, is great for open areas and also for larger, stronger people. Personally, I have a selection of nets for different applications. I also prefer 1-inch mesh, as it can reduce the number of bycatch gilled in the net. They take time to get out and it kills little critters that belong back in the ocean. In recent years, there has been a big gap between good quality custom nets and cheap production rubbish. However, I'm happy to say that after much trial and error, I have sourced some good quality production nets that fill this gap. They have nice thick mono, double knots, 6 panels, and they cast like a dream with a chain bottom. We stock them in bottom pocket with a heavier lead line for faster sinking and drawstrings with a chain bottom for less tangles. If you're struggling to throw a cast net, we have a YouTube video with millions of views showing you how to throw it off the wrist. This way you don't get covered in muck and you can throw into the wind and under branches. I'll try and get the link on this page somewhere. And finally, even more important than the cast net you buy is where you throw it. If you struggle to catch live bait over different seasons and weather conditions and would like to consistently fill your bait tank in 10 to 20 minutes instead of sometimes taking hours, I have created a comprehensive bait catching course called Locating Liveys. It collates all my experience of catching live bait over 30 years as a successful charter fishing guide and has helped students all over the world catch bait more quickly and easily than they thought possible. So be sure and check out our courses page on my Ryan Moody Fishing website. Catching live bait saves you money. It puts you onto great fish on difficult days when they won't touch lures and teaches you a lot about fish behaviour. A good cast net will last you for years, provided you don't throw it over a giant log or a crocodile. Hey guys, if you like that video and you'd like to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook and Insta, and if you want exclusive access to our fishing and travel content, head on over to our website, ryanmoodyfishing.com, and sign up for free email updates. Get into the great outdoors, keep fishing smarter, we'll see you next time.